Dabarayo Sanjitanji Tanya Jamola Nevajara He was all the Samaga Jagam goes with Lama in the sun. Human maybe you are the Yamagan or somebody or the other one. Human my change your Mongarago. Please generate bodhicitta for the benefit of all sentient beings. Therefore, you'll be receiving the Sojong text or Sojong transmission that we use at Kamalang or KTG. And that's the one I gave last time when I taught this. So I will read this for you. And also I can send this document. It's a PDF file. I can send that to Santa Monica address. Teaching Sojong Tsasam Tso Jiao San Son Jido Sojong La Tong Jido Dola Penzo Sonjan Dobra Shu Simi Yo Sinji the Dong of the Dong Jidan Roger Dong, but they were the one Georgian Jabo Smith was in Dalagons, Song, Yang, the Yoda, Jobos on the Tajan Jida, Lombo Chimpazodi, the Water Krabua, longer than Jesus was about the Joy of the Lebanon. On top of car, Lebanon number two, Lebanon number two, here you can use Pembraza, Jadon Rosa, the name Bazawas, and Megan Bazawa, Landa mi bara yonda bada bozu ni doba da bozu jengi wala bada egen da da men de geje ve jontu ne da geje soni mama geje bozu jengi bara lama je wa sa som tene so je ma de jengi na lama je je me denje se jo mana wa chen na mo bani da bozu na to bonda da de ma de je no em se da da kardan lo so bonda je da je da no je la so ma de da so je la so na to ni yo do ma de je no so so no de je bada ni la to no je so so je mo ba de ne so no so ma ge la so ma bara bara ma ji da ma Sundara Samandala, the Samandala, the Hamid, the Sassin, two nines of the Brajara, Yamon, the Taranjala, don't do it. Yamon, Madonna, and the Brajara, Manjel Bokata, Yana, on the in another day, what I get the Jordan, the Tiger. Can you ever wear Zebos Holland or Wado or I show? All right, that was the reading transmission. It's done, and so the second is about the benefit of practicing. We call Nine. Is Nune and Nine, and then Nine, sometimes we call Sojong Vow, and so it's a 1-day fasting practice. And so the Nyini practice benefit come from sutra, and this and so this is once again during the time of Buddha, Buddha Shakyamuni. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Loud and clear?
I think we can all hear you, Lama Karma.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
So Max was not able to join?
No, family matters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his sister came in, I guess, from Germany, and so he couldn't come in.
Hmm. So there's a story from Sutra, and the name of the chapter known as the chapter on protecting or practicing moral discipline by the Tibetan name is Kandiju. Kandiju means an individuals, like because Indian is very rich. There are so many different religions and so Kandiju is someone kind of wandering around. They have their own practice, but also like kind of practicing other religions as well. And so this is the time, it's sutra also kind of starts with when I heard this, at the same time when I heard this story, that was when Bhagavati, which is referring to Buddha, was Shravasti. There's a place in India. India has 6 major places, regions. This is one of them. And there was where Buddha resided at that time. And the kind of a garden where he kind of park place known as the garden fence or garden of offered by Gemi Sejin, that's the Tibetan name. And so during that time, there were like early night, there were 2 gods came to see Buddha, and through the the light of those 2 gods, completely let's say I have to be very careful about this pronunciation. I meant illuminated, not eliminated, but illuminated, right? Their word like totally, brightened. I know I can use brightened, but I also exercise my English. Illuminated, right? Totally illuminated.
You are totally right.
So that means I'm totally illuminated over that word. Now I actually lost. Illuminated, there's a place by the light of their body. And then Buddha, the Bhagavati gave some teachings according to their capacity or the faculty, and they both are, liberated from same number of Drodhul, same in Tibetan word is same means constantly, thinking the thought. And then when the thought is liberated, then, all become like wisdom, your mind, because the actual your mind is wisdom. For us, it's like a same. Same is constantly one after another, whether this is thinking about your family or thinking about whatever you see becomes the cause of your thought, or whatever you hear becomes the cause of your thought. So we constantly same is constantly thinking, which is one hand, it means we are alive. On the other hand, it means we constantly accumulating a lot of karma, and if we judge, if we someone, a practitioner is very careful or treasure our time or using our time, and if you get up in the morning and then a whole day, whatever you do, you need to do, or you're supposed to do, or you just randomly do whatever, at the end of the day, you kind of recollect, thinking back, and what did I do today? And could be everything is accumulation of directly or indirectly or negative karma, because it seems like we are we say we are we feel distracted, we feel stressed, which means not a good news. It means we constantly accumulate negative karma, which is actually uh, very severe, consequence if we don't purify our negative karma. And so that means same. Same means consciousness that thinks all the time. And then when Buddha gave the teaching to these two gods, and they the word says they both liberated from sin, which means they are able to introduce the nature of mind, which is beyond sin, or beyond fixation, beyond frustration, beyond stress, and achieved enlightenment. And then they both they both pay homage to Buddha's feet by putting their head to Buddha, and pay homage to Buddha, and then they went back to the God's realm. And then next day, the dawn breaks, and Ananda, one of Buddha's main disciple, asked Buddha the following question. Last night there were two gods. We saw two gods came to see you, Bhagavati, and they both paid their respect. And then the physical light illuminated the whole place, and made really beautified the whole place. And what did they do in their past life? What kind of karma did they create? I'm questioning myself, what kind of karma did I create that I totally forgot this Thursday night teaching? So I was basically caught in sin, the consciousness of distractions. I just, when I saw Daniel message, and kind of panicked me. And then I saw Judy's message, and I was grabbing my clothes or something like that. Tonight I was like, oh yeah, tomorrow I have another teaching. I'm going to take shower, shave, and tonight I still look good. Huh? Still look good. I can't help with that. Sorry, Daniel.
That's all right.
You still have to think about one joke at the end of teaching. That's our tradition. So what kind of karma did they create, and achieving this kind of fruition? And then Bhagavati told Ananda the following statement. Previously, the previous Buddha Kashyapa, which was before, prior to Buddha Shakyamuni. Do we say prior to Buddha Shakyamuni? Is that correct English? Or the previous Buddha? Prior to Buddha Shakyamuni, is that correct English?
I think that's okay.
Oh my God, that's something using that's the first time using prior to Buddha Shakyamuni. Oh. I mean, that's the first time I'm using that. Guys, come on. That's a relief. And so Buddha Shakyamuni said, the previous Buddha, Kashyapa, when Kashyapa passed away, passed into nirvana, and the Dhamma was, genuine Dhamma was kind of close to disappear, and there were two Brahmas. So the Brahma, those days in India, they have their own practice, and they also practice other different religions. So two Brahmas, they actually took one-day vow. That's the one, Hine, or the Sojong Vow. It's called the 8 moral discipline, or 8 vows practice of one-day practice. And when they took the vow, this is one important part, is that one of the Brahma made aspiration that through this merit may I able to take rebirth in God's realm. And then or let's say, may I become a god or a deva. And then the other Brahma made aspiration that through this practice may I able to become a king. And then after they took the vow, made the aspiration, and they came back to home. And so then one of the Brahma came back, and so his wife told him, it's time for lunch. eat your food. And so he told his wife that, I kind of took this vow from Buddha's tradition, or Buddhism tradition, and that you don't, one of the vows is not to eat in the evening, evening meals. So I won't eat, dinner. Actually, it was dinner. It's not a lunch. So, and then his wife said that, oh, you are Brahma, or Kandija, is someone like wandering, kind of just wandering everywhere, wandering tradition or religion. And we have our own moral discipline. So why you have to take another moral discipline vow from a different teacher? And if you don't eat with me, and I will tell you a story to other Brahmas, and they will kick you out. She was very conservative. And then this Brahma, Kandija, was actually couldn't deny. He was really scared, so he ate the food, or the evening meal, which is known as untiming food, according to the Sojong Vow. And Then they both, the Brahmas live their life, and when they both die, in according to their respective lifespan, and the person the one with the Brahma who made aspiration to take rebirth as a king, and he did take rebirth as a king's family, and then the other Brahma who made aspiration to take rebirth as a god, yet partially, let's say what's the word, partially damaged the vow by eating untimely food, and he took rebirth. Unfortunately, he took rebirth as a Naga. Naga is one of the, of course, Naga has different, power, but they consider like lower realms, three lower realms, like animal realm, hungry ghost realm, and hell realm, and Naga is could be part of animal realm, or sometimes could be hungry ghost realm. And then the king, Brahma who took rebirth as a king. The king has a guardian, let's say a gardener, someone who works in his garden. And his gardener often brings fruit, dessert to him, all kind of fruits. And then one day, this gardener was able to find, or he just found a very beautiful and very tasty, colorful, very uncommon fruit, apple. That's a cushious apple, in a small stream like water, and it has the smell, the scent is really beautiful. And then when he found this apple, and he never saw this kind of apple before, and he immediate his thought was, oh, I will give this to the guardians, door guards, the king's door guard, because whenever I bring apples to him, they always give me a hard time. they always question all kind of. I will give him, then next time I will have better access. And so he, let's see. Okay. So he gave to the door guard, and then door guard accepted it, and then he actually also think about, oh, I would give this to the Buddha's attendant, because every time I go in, he or she gives me a hard time, and so I, and if I give this to him, so he will let me go whenever I want to go in. So we give to the Buddha's attendant, and the attendant give to Queen, and then Queen finally give to Buddha. The king. And then the king ate that apple, and it's very sweet, it's very tasty, and it's very beautiful smell. And so then he asked his queen, where did you find this apple? And then she told it's come from the attendant, and the attendant come from all the way to the gardener. And then king asked summoned the gardener, and he told the gardener that if you have this kind of very tasty apple in our fruit garden, and why you didn't give me why even you give this to other other people, not directly to me, and told him that you have to give this kind of apple every day, and from now on you have to give that to me every day. And so then the guardian, the gardener told how this apple came about. You know, he found it. You know, he said it's not really planted in our garden. It's just something I found in a water stream, and then you know, all this history repeated. And then the king said, if you can't find in the future, I will cut your body in pieces. I mean, that's king, right? That's king. If you don't find this, yeah, I will cut you in pieces. And then was on.
Sounds like one of my previous bosses.
Well, it doesn't sound like, because you are still here.
They're still here, yes.
You are still here. You are. But no, that's very not. That's like a king's thing. There's a kind of saying in Tibet that the king's order cannot reverse, like the water that falls from the mountain cannot reverse. So how strong? Now, you know, but nowadays you can vote, right? Anyway, actually, oh, it's funny. Right?
Yeah.
So then the gardener, you know, he went back and he was actually crying. You know, poor guy. He was crying and crying loud. And then a Naga nearby heard the crying voice, and then of course Naga sometimes could be a form of a dragon, a form of a snake, or some kind of creatures can be scary. So he emanated himself as a person and went to the the gardener, or no, on the other, yeah, it's gardener, and he's asking him, why you are crying, why you are unhappy, and then the gardener told everything what happened to the Naga, and the Naga kind of disappeared, you know, momentarily, and then he came back with a tray full of you know, those apples. Actually, not same apple, but you know, it says very nice apples. And he told the gardener to give to the king, and also I have a message to the king. And the message, you know, he said he sent like a message, you know, or not like a letter. So he said, tell him that the king is I were related in previous lives, and we were those two Brahmas, our previous life. And we both took the Sojong Vow, one-day vow, and made aspiration, and then the king fulfilled his aspiration and become king. And I destroyed, or what's the best word? Broke my vow, and then become a Naga. And I really want to practice the moral discipline. I want to protect this vow in order to free from this this life, this Naga's life, which actually shows that Naga is something enjoying something, he was suffering. Mm. Do you hear any other sound?
Yeah.
What do you hear?
Oh, little
It's like a
guy.
naga crying.
My son is never crying. He's tired.
He has to go to bed and he doesn't want to.
Yeah, well, it's terrible too.
Yeah, terrible.
Two is terrible. And I hope you guys okay. I'm okay. I'm so used to, right? It's not too loud, right?
No,
No.
it's
Okay.
fine.
Totally
It's
used to
fine.
that.
Okay.
It's enjoyable.
Oh yeah. How about that one? So, so then so he sent that message to the gardener, and actually the Naga said this. Please tell king you have to give me the text, the ritual of the one-day vow, and if you don't give that to me, and I will be, I will, flood flooding entire kingdom. He will wipe out your palace and everything because it's Naga. He can, the water. And then the gardener went to king and just to offer the apple and then gave the message to king. Then the king wasn't really not happy. He didn't have the taste of enjoying the apple. And so king said, the reason why I'm not happy is because, at this moment, or these days, we don't, the Buddha is not present. And the genuine Dharma is also already a kind of, uh, disappearing. And how can we find this one day practice or ritual, text? And if we don't accomplish what Naga is wish or request, then I fear that Naga will destroy us. So he wasn't happy, and then he has one general minister who was the supreme minister or very special, and he just told the minister, this Naga told this, and we have to find the ritual text of the 8 vow practice, and also, you guys told the general that you have to find it. You can't say you can't find it, and then the general said, "There's no Dharma in this world, and where can I find this text?" And then king told the minister or general that if you can't find it, I will kill you. King's order. Huh? And then, of course, the general is very sad and stressed. Went back to home, and he has his father, the elderly father. It does say in Tibetan that he was, very old father who looked at his son, and my son always comes with smile whenever we come back and also talk. But this this is a little different. He's serious. He's kind of sad or suffering and doesn't talk. So he asked the question to his son, who told his father a detailed story about finding the text. And then his father told the general that in our house, in this one of this pillar, often I see some light radiating from this pillar. even though Buddha is not present, Dharma is not present, because it's still, something, the blessing is there. So I see something light, and maybe you can, find out. So his son opened one of the pillar that his father was, supplicating or seeing this vision, or actually see actual light. And they, unfortunately, they found this text about 12 interdependent sutra and one-day fasting practice text. And then the minister offered to king, and then the king was extremely happy, and he put the text into a golden, what is the, it's not totally box, golden. They must have a very elegant word for that, golden.
Chest,
Golden what?
like a chest, like a, where you
More
put
like-
jewels or no?
Yeah, where
Yeah.
you put jewels, or golden
Like a treasure
chest.
chest. Yeah.
Jewel box.
Oh, I got a word, treasure box.
Treasure box, right? Treasure chest. Treasure, or
Treasure chest.
Yeah.
Treasure box. And so he put in the treasure box, or treasure, what's the spelling for chest?
Like the, what's the, what for chest? With,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the spelling? Chest?
oh, CHEST, I think.
Just like
treasure-
chest.
treasure chest. Yeah.
Treasure chest. And then he actually sent that to the Naga, and Naga was extremely happy, and he offered so many jewels, precious jewels to the king. And then he, Naga practiced one day, fasting practice again, and also he asked his subjects to also practice. And then when he passed away, he took rebirth as a God, because that was his original aspiration. At the same time, the king continued practice the moral discipline, or the fasting practice according to Dharma or teaching. And then when he passed away, he once again took rebirth as a God. And so then Buddha said, so those are the two gods that came last night, and thanking and making aspiration. I gave teaching according to their capacity, and they both achieved some Shavaka Buddha's level. The Shavaka Buddha has some different levels. It's called Jin Shopun Deva, means one of the achievement. And they are totally free from 3 lower realms, and they will experience abundance of joy and in the God's realm and the human realm, and then finally they will achieve ultimate nirvana. And then Bhagavat taught like that, and all of his retinues, arahats and bodhisattvas rejoice. And that was one of the chapter in that sutra. And now I will tell you, the sutra is the one Khenpo Ujin taught during the pandemic. Remember the pandemic time, Khenpo Ujin taught many chapters of the sutra stories, right? So this is one of them about one-day fasting practice. I know it's already taught, but I thought maybe I would emphasize, because it may not be that hard, like, one day fasting practice. And, sometimes like we have this bad habits of, eating habits, right? Especially if you are not so happy. I actually discovered myself that if you are not so happy, and sometimes you know, searching for comfort in food, which is sometimes not so good, then you become and so this is the benefit of one of the story that I do say that this teaching may take like few uh, sessions, because it has also has to go through the vow itself, etc. So basically, the fasting practice of Sojong is like they are also, tonight I also would go go through briefly go through the time, which is actually very, very important. Which days
Mm.
we're supposed to practice. And so, of course, there are special days, like Buddha's turn wheel of Dharma, or Buddha enlightened time, Buddha's miracle time, and Buddha descended to, like, some of those we call uh, uh, four major occasions. And then there's some Chinese tradition have like very details, like, and it's kind of also explained some of the teachings as well. The time part. I was giving this teaching to some of the groups who are some Chinese audience, and some of them asked question about which dates are, every month there are like 10 of them kind of considered very special in Chinese tradition, which is actually uh, also kind of matched with one of the commentary by one of the Siddha Rinpoche. I don't know exactly which incarnation, but one of the Siddha Rinpoche. It could be 8th Siddha Rinpoche or 10th Siddha Rinpoche. Commentary does describe those dates. For example, let's talk about every month lunar calendar. I'm talking about lunar calendar. Every month. Every month, the first of the lunar, every month, the first day of the month is also special. Because according to some of the sutra teachings, that the first day of the lunar calendar is a special occasion of this God's youthful God's son, or God's son, who emerges and going through the different realms, and examining who's practicing virtuous actions, who's practicing non-virtuous actions. And on that day, the first day of the lunar calendar, if we recite the, the name of the Samadhi King Buddha, which actually at the moment I don't know how do you recite. I just simply go through the teaching. But also mentioned that if we recite the refuge prayers, and also recite different mantras, especially if we practice one day fasting practice, which is a Nyine or Sojong. Sometimes we call Nyine, sometimes we call Sojong, the one day fasting practice that is our main subject. If we do that, we are able to purify 40 eons of negative karma, and able to free from the hell realm known as, the hell realm of weapons like swords, spheres, this weapon, and mainly used by, something like native people, the hunting, right? The sphere,
Spears.
yeah, spears.
Yeah.
So this kind of hell realm, you are able to free from that if you practice that. And then the second date, which is kind of matched with what we normally do, like eighth day, the eighth lunar calendar, which is considered Tara Day, consider Medicine Buddha Day. And on that day, there's Prince Pechen. There's one individual also goes through the realms and see how long we, how long we live, each individual, how long we live, or short life or long life. And on that day, if you recite the recitation of Medicine Buddha's name or mantra, we'll able to purify negative karma of 30 eons, and free from the harem of cutting our bodies. There are so many hell realms, so this is one of them. And then 14th of the lunar calendar is one of the Yama's retinue known as Ombo Charzi, that's his name. Once again, goes through the realms and write down about whether we are practicing virtue or non-virtuous actions. And on that day, 14th, which is also in Tibetan tradition, when I was a child at home, when I was little, we often also emphasize on 14th, and so this is, I think, one of the reasons. It's a sacred date, and if we recite the name of 1,000 Buddhas or do prostration and able to purify negative karma of 1,000 eons, and able to free from the boiling water of liquid of hell realm. So there's one of the reasons why this date's specified is because it's also mainly related with the one-day fasting practice. This commentary talk about the 4 different occasions of Buddhas, but also every month these dates are important. If you have lunar calendar, you can mark it. And then the 15th, of course, it's a full moon, right? There's full moon, and it's it says the Brahma, the Captain Brahma, once again go through the sentient beings, examining whether they practice virtue or unvirtue. And in that day, on that day, the 15th, if we recite Buddha Amitabha's name or a recitation of the mantra, we're able to purify 200 eons of negative karma, and we will not born in a cold hell realm. And then 18th, the Lord of the Death, or Lord of the Yama himself, goes through the realms and searching or examining whether we practice in virtuous or non-virtuous actions, and the special day. And then if we recite the noble Chinese Aulashurva mantra or recitation, name or mantra able to purify 90 eons of negative karma, and able to free from hell realm known as known as the sword, sword like knife, yang. Yang means like a very steep mountain of swords, knives. If you fall into this and you experience a lot of suffering, so that's one of the hell realm. And so the 18th, you may not normally hear about that, but once again, in Tibetan tradition, when I was a little child, my family often said the 18th is also, special day, which I didn't know. So this is one of the reasons. And then the next is 23rd. 23rd is the Shiva, the great god Shiva will go through the realms, and on that special day. When we talk about a special day, it could be like, sometimes a special being, sometimes a very powerful being, sometimes an evil being, all kind of, special day. So that's why it has, tremendous impact whether we practice virtual or non-virtuous actions. So Shiva kind of examines and goes through, and then on that day, 23rd, if we practice Buddhan Birocana's name and recite Buddhan Birocana's name or mantra, able to purify 1,000 eons of negative karma, and will not take rebirth in hungry ghost realm. And the 24th is once again one of the Yama's retinue known as Wombotation. So it's good you are recorded, so it's all recorded, right? And it's scary for me when it's recorded. Wombotation, and on that day, if we recite the one of the Bodhisattva, it's kind of well known, widely practiced in Chinese Buddhism tradition. They call Thegsum, Sai Nimbo, the essence of the earth, name of one of the 8 Bodhisattvas. If you recite the name and mantra, will purify negative karma of 1,000 eons, and able to free from the hell realm of cutting and the one we have earlier, cutting your bodies into pieces. And then 28th is the Indra, the king of the god, or Indra himself goes through. And on that day, once again, if you recite Amitabha's Buddha's name or mantra, was able to purify 90 eons of negative karma, and free from one of the hot hell realm among 8 hell realms, known as a black line on your body and cut pieces. So from that hell realm. And then 29th is the day that all the 10 protectors of the 10 directions also goes through the rounds. And if we recite medicine with the mantra or name, able to purify negative karma of 1,000 eons, and able to free from one of the branch hell realm, known as the pit of the fire or hot ash. And then the last would be new moon. New moon is the the great god Brahma also goes through, and on that day, if we recite the Victoria Buddha Shakyamuni mantra or recitation will able to purify 1,000 eons of negative karma and free from the hell realm known as what do you say? Humurun Jamba means so they're kind of use all kind of weapons or like hammers to squeeze or just chop down all of your your physical bonds or such. There's a hell realm like that. So we are able to free from that. So those are actually every month. Those are the dates that every practice you do or perform negative karma have a lot of consequences, especially if we do the fasting practice. It has a lot of benefit. Oh.
What day is the best day to do the fasting practice? Sorry, I was asking.
Sorry, say that again.
Oh, what day was the fast that was the best to do the fasting practice?
So generally the 4 different occasions of Buddha's commemoration when Buddha was enlightened, when Buddha was turned the well of Dharma, when Buddha. So there are many commemorations. So I don't really have exact date now. Maybe you can find on lunar calendar, but every month, these the dates that I mentioned. I think there are 10 of them, right? Can be a very special date, because we have to practice. If you want to practice, we want to practice, but if we want to practice something more powerful way, and yeah. So I after I taught this teaching, and I did one practice once, and I mean I used to do this 2 days practice Mune, which means one day you eat lunch and then you only drink, and the next day you totally silent, you practice all day and postate, etc. And I was okay, but recently I just only did the fasting, this 1 day practice. I was having a lot of hard time, and sometimes they say not they say Kimball told me that if you go through difficulties when you practice Mune or this like 1 day fasting practice, that means you are really, really purifying negative karma, unless we get upset, unless we just stressed, frustrated, like regret, then of course, everything will be wasted. But otherwise, this, when you experience a lot of suffering, like thirsty or hunger, you think about think about other sufferings, and yeah. So
Lama,
so
hi. I'd like to mention a few things. One is we can do, just to be real practical and simple, we can do this on every new moon or every full moon, or both. The next full moon is Saturday the 18th. And in the instructions that I have for all of you, you don't need to fast for the whole day if you're doing just the 1-day Sojong Vow. You have a vegetarian breakfast and a vegetarian lunch. After 1 p.m., you only drink water until sunrise the next morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daniel, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I have a serious stomach issue where I have to take special medicine and every day, and I don't know safely at my age if I can fast. So I'm wondering, like, how could I do the practice safely? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I could do just vegetarian breakfast and lunch and then not eat till the next breakfast. And that, I mean, maybe I could do that. I don't know.
Well, that's for Lama Karma to answer. My understanding is no meat or fish on that day.
Yeah, I get that. I got that it's vegetarian, that it's strictly.
But taking
Yeah. Mhm.
is okay,
Please.
right? Lama Karma, taking medicine is okay.
Well, I sometimes think that, it may make you healthier than unhealthy, because sometimes we have this, tendency that some physical issue, we can't do that. But maybe, I kind of sometimes see that some people have a healthy issue and then they end up doing the practice just to kind of see how to go. Of course, if you really, really, can't do it, you have to, you have no choice. Especially you mentioned about medicine. Medicine is allowed in order to, in order to maintain your health. And food is not allowed. But according to Kimberbuche, if you really, really, there's some kind of doctor's, recommendation that you have to take something, a little something, and then in order to, it's not because you are so hungry, or it's not because your attachment, it's because you have to survive your body. You may uh, drink something, not like a something like a chew, like a solid food, but maybe you may have some kind of milkshake or something.
Oh,
But
I see what you're saying.
yeah, some
Okay.
kind of juice. I mean, you can drink juice. We do drink juice because you can drink, but sometimes people say, "Wow, if you don't chew, then I can eat yogurt." I mean, yogurt is real food, like
Yeah. But you could
yogurt.
have like broth or something like that.
Yeah, it's vegetarian broth or like juice,
Yeast.
or like whatever, some kind of nurturing, right?
Okay.
I want to just mention my own experience is that I noticed a lot of emotion coming up around the time I normally eat dinner. And it's a good experience to notice this craving, and how when that craving passes, that it actually was something that I've learned from. And I've even done I did a 3-day fast, and I had more and more energy as the time went on. It was unbelievable. I thought it would be the opposite.
Oh, okay.
I totally agree with you, Daniel. Even though I was hungry, but I felt there was a lightening happening with my mind and my body. I used to do like a 8 set of Nyune practice. That is like 2 days fasting practice, when I was in Tibet, and I led that practice at KTD. But I think I was joking toward, maybe I wasn't joking. I mean, I was kind of half joke saying that during the pandemic, we had a lot of issues, a lot of situation. And sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, that sometimes for the comfort, we eat a lot. So I kind of maybe got that, bad habit. And then the last time, I have actually some story to share, you may laugh or smile, is that, so when I took the Sojong vow, and the number one is that I was late. You're supposed to take like early in the morning, like before sunrise or sunset. I was actually pretty late because I was just late. It's sometimes you are like parents, and you you kind of busy, and then your child doesn't wake up early. If you get up and he wakes up, then it will be have hard time whole day. So I had to kind of wait until he wake up. So then I went to check the vowel, and then I saw a dessert. There was a apple cake that my wife made, and I was aiming for that. I was like, after lunch I will eat this. And then I have a Lama doing 1 month long retreat, and he ate it. I didn't know that. He took the piece. Actually, my wife served to him because my wife is, serving meal to him. She was laughing. I didn't know that you just, and I got upset a little bit. And then I ate lunch, and then when I ate lunch, and the rice was not enough. It was all this kind of constantly, coming to me, pushing me to the limit. And I was, oh, and then after I finished lunch, and then, you know, once again, my poor memory, after a few hours, I kind of forgot I took sodium vow. I told my wife, I think I was working outside and I need to go to massage place. And she said, I thought you took sodium vow. It's like, oh, I did. Oh, yeah. Thank you for reminding me. And then, we did puja and evening. I told my wife that, please you don't have to prepare dinner for me because I took sodium vow. She said, of course I know. You don't have to remind me. That was the remembrance. And then at nighttime, I was actually hungry. And so there are a few things that, actually before that, after I ate lunch, I was taking it for my son, and I have a little cantina which has nuts, and my son wanted me to open. I opened it, and then he ate some. I ate soap, so I took sodium vow. So those are my mistakes I made. And then what I did was I did 35 Buddha prayer few times and Vajrasattva mantra and purify negative karma. Especially I heard the story that I shared from Sutra. And then in night time, before I went to bed, I was hungry and thirsty, and I was really thinking of what Khenpo used to say, think of hungry goes to Ram, and do the towning practice, sending and receiving practice. At the same time, I was like, oh, okay, tomorrow morning, the moment I wake up, I will eat a lot. So next day I woke up, of course, the vow is 1 day practice. The next day when you wake up, at dawn, or it has to be 1 day, complete 1 day, which means if you took the vow at 6 o'clock, the next day, 6 o'clock, the vow will expire. So it has to be 1 day. So next day I woke up and I wasn't hungry. That was frustrating, but I feel very good actually.
Does it matter
So-
that the fact that I'm older, does that make a difference, or should it not make any difference?
I don't think my father is almost 80 years old and he's taking this vow, he's actually taking the 2 days vow all the time. Last time he did was 14 consecutive practice of Nyune, which is like, a month, right? So it also has to do with, of course, that you have mentioned about your, health. That's I can't talk about. I can't comment on that much. But generally, it has to do with mentality. That okay, it is worth to go through the difficulties, unless it's something really emergency or risky, right? So Dhamma, as Malarapa mentioned, if we do something, hardship, you accomplish the most precious or rare thing, and so that's what it means.
Lama Karma, I have a request for you to
Mhm.
consider, please. I know we're getting towards 8 o'clock, so I'll try to make it brief. I
8
would find
o'clock. It's 11 o'clock for me.
11 o'clock for you. Yes, much
Yeah.
worse.
Me too.
Yes, please, child.
If you could,
By the way, I go to bed like 1 o'clock. No problem.
okay, good. Oh, well, a couple more hours then. Would you please consider offering a Nune over the internet on the Buddha's main days, the 4 main holidays, where you actually gather a Sangha and announce it through KTD, that those wishing to participate on Zoom would, different times, because I know that you make Torma offering, like in a real, I don't know, I know in Nunes they do Torma offerings and different ceremonies, but anything to encourage practice on those days that follow these somewhat stricter rules would be just so wonderfully appreciated. And I think that you'd find a very strong following. I
Mhm.
would
I
certainly
agree. Mhm.
look forward to doing that with you. But so often we get notice of the days, but there's no other than we know that at the centers there are practices going on, but something geared towards Zoom practice would be
Oh, that's
appreciated.
how you use the geared, something geared towards geared. Absolutely. And in fact, last time when I gave this teaching to some different audience, they also have same request. And what I would do is that it looks like a KTD began to have like, teachings, and some people come, as you probably saw as well. People could, come in and practice with masks. And I would kind of remind our, President Lama Lodru Lama, and because Lama Karuna, Rinpoche's intendant, she is the one who really did, hundreds of practice. He led many unit practice at KTD. I think it would be great that if she could come to KTD and just have like a, Zoom unit, right?
Lama Karma, I talked at length to Lama Karuna about this, and she ruled it out immediately.
Yeah,
she said that because of the Torma offerings and the different ceremonies and things, and she really downplayed it. That's why I was approaching you.
Yeah, I was, once again, I want to try one more time, because if she decided to practice, I'm pretty sure all the KTG lamas will help with her, because she was the main person who lead the unit practice, and Rinpoche also recommended her to lead it. So I don't really want to, I want to make sure she's feel right, and I will follow up. But Daniel mentioned earlier how to practice, and some of you maybe already learned, like Daniel, others. So please go ahead to practice. But I still want to go through the ritual part and a little bit of the, the vows. Maybe takes like few sessions of teachings,
Okay.
because
Wonderful.
because if you want those people who doesn't know it, and then in the future it stays with you, right? So then I saw a question from Judy, no, Jody, Rudy. It's almost like a rap song, Jody.
No, because I'm a little confused. So
No. I just, where's the text for this practice? Do we say mantras for? Earlier Daniel mentioned he has text, according to Kaju Melam, and you can definitely use that, as well as I can send, the text that I have that we use at KTD or Kamalai. And of course, when you practice Nine, it has different liturgies or different. There's the elaborated form, and then there's the shorter form. The one I have is the kind of abbreviated form. But if you have more time, like weekend or something, there are recommendations like beginning you do the 12 deeds, prayers to the 12 deeds, and then 35 Buddha prayer, then the elaborated form of mandala offering, etc. Something I will go through in the future. This is my kind of style that, once I teach something, regardless, I have to come out, what I know, and then I feel be very kind of, satisfied. So I just taught it. So that's going to happen. So that means you guys going to see me a few times. Sorry.
Great.
Great.
So we can't even begin to practice the Sojong yet until we find out exactly how we're supposed to do it. Is that what you're saying?
I definitely saying that, yeah. And I mean,
Okay.
temporarily you may find out through, gathering with your own sangha there, and then people who practiced can talk about it, right? So you can chant the liturgy, like, etc. But for my side, I want to make sure that my part teaching could be presented completely, and then you can go ahead to practice,
One more question was, so when you were mentioning the Nagas,
Mhm.
is the Sojong practice also to pacify the Nagas too? I was a little about that.
No, actually, it doesn't mention about specific. I mean, this for, as all other practices, very special for, not to take rebirth in Naga realms or etc. One of the reasons why Naga came up, because the previous Brahma made aspiration when he took Sojong vow that may I take rebirth in God's realm, but because he broke the vow, and the consequence kind of brought him to the Nagas realm, and that's how it happened. But doesn't really specify a specific connection with the Nagas realm.
I have an idea for people who are aspiring to do this someday, is just skip dinner one night and see how you do without taking vows in the morning. Just do a test run.
I like that. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Well, there's actually interesting parts that it's, I think it's all has to do with mentality. And when I sometimes skip dinner, it's okay. Then when I take vow, it's not okay. It's like, oh no, it's just some kind of, Daniel, you have mentioned that, there's kind of strong constant karma happens, sometimes, there's like, I think that's what's happening, when you take a vow, because this vow has so much benefit, so much blessing, right?
Yes.
So sometimes we have so much negative karma to purify, and then those comes up, and emotionally we are, differently, then, physically changed. So I feel like, we can't go on or something, but it's just that's how, kind of stirs up all the, it's like you have a container that you burned the container pretty bad, but you still want to use it, and then you just live there. And once you begin to, clean it up, you have to, take everything, all the dirt comes up really nasty, but then it cleans up.
Yeah. Okay. We will end here, Lama Karma. Thank you very much for this entry into Sojong vows, and Jody and Max can coordinate with you on future teaching sessions.
I need 2 more teachings.
Yeah, great. Okay.
2 more sessions.
Okay. And will you please lead us in a dedication of merit for today?
Yeah, I will do that. And thanks so much, everybody, having me on this teaching. And once again, I apologize that, I kind of forgot it, not out of disrespect or anything. It's just, I have to put myself more organized, and still in learning process. And so I next time I promise it won't happen. What's the wood? I want to knock this actually.
Knock on wood, yeah.
So let's dedicate the merit of today's teaching for the benefit of all sentient beings, especially may we practice Nyene and take block the rebirth in lower arms and benefit many sentient beings. And please recite dedicated prayer. Sonam Daya Tamje Zebanye Tone Niba Danam Ponce. Jega Nanche Bala Tobaya Siba Solendo Adro Rasho Jambala Pao Chitrachem. Kanda Zombo de Honde Yende Eda Kenje Jisa Dala Givan Dada Tamje Rod. Chonju Sanarumbo Che Maje Panam Kije Iba Nyamba Meba. Kone Konda Peva Show. I also offer this our merit to our late Kimberbuche, and he definitely asked that we continue trying to practice and trying to follow which is example, even though we like little baby, stand up, fall, but we continue taking the example. But the last, where's the joke?
That's Daniel.
Uh,
Comedian.
No,
It's a bit
if you make joke, no, Daniel, you have to show yourself. How can I laugh at Santa Monica Kamatesam Chöling?
yeah.
That's a good
Time-
joke right
It's,
there.
Right, that was funny. That was funny.
it's time for it's time for you to shine. I can't look at laugh at the words there. Yeah, you are kind of projecting your voice through those words, right? And the
My
actual mnemonica is not there.
No, but
yeah. My
My
joke
God.
mind is on silent retreat.
Huh?
The joke part of my mind is on silent retreat.
Okay. I think maybe I made a joke, right?
he gave you a Dharmakaya joke, not a Nirmanakaya joke.
Yeah, Charles, you look really good. Yeah.
Well, I'm in outer space, all right.
Yeah.
He's floating around.
Let's see. Okay. Who's okay, there's another one. Does it have name?